support it. The other neighborhood councils in the region, Highland Park has supported the complete streets / bike lanes, and also Cypress Park has supported it. So if you support it too, then you're just joining the rest of the neighborhood councils with your support.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is these are all for. Next up is James Cable. Is that how you say it? Cable. Okay.
Yeah, all I know about that proposal is what I read in the Boulevard Sentinel, which described.
Sorry. Okay, your 2 minutes is running.
Which described that the outreach effort done by CD1, CDO, was amounted to 2 meetings. Mostly the first meeting was run by the bike lane supporters, and they shouted down anybody else that wanted to talk against it. The second meeting, they enforced Robert's Rules of Order. They didn't allow shouting down. People spoke. They took some kind of a vote. There were 3 proposals: narrow a lane, or provide a wide lane, or make no change for car drivers. The residents, or the stakeholders that were in evidence at that meeting, voted against the proposed bike lane imposition. And so I think we should support stakeholders of Highland Park and not the bike advocates.
Thank you. Next up is Jesse Medina. 2 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Several months ago, I stood here when there was a controversial proposal regarding the Benningham campus that you were asked to take a vote on. Today, I'm here not to support this or tell you to vote against it. I'm just here to tell you that you are stepping into quite a controversial topic. So if you are, in case you are not aware of the history of this, this goes back to, I think, 2010, when, well, it goes way back. And there's been a lot of things happening in the meantime. So all I'm doing is I'm just encouraging and asking you to do your due diligence, do your homework, outreach to your stakeholders, to the people, your community, to find out what it is that they feel. You're not in a vacuum here. We're not necessarily asking for you and what your opinion is, but you're representing Glassell Park here. So if you are not aware of this topic and the history behind it, I'm just encouraging you to do what you have to do your homework, become informed, and whether you vote yea or nay, that's entirely up to you. Thank you.
That's all the speaker cards I have on this item. So, do we have a motion?
This time we open up the board.
You guys want to discuss this further? Okay. Any discussion, please?
Do you want to go around the board?
If you have something to say, just go ahead and raise your hand.
Yeah, so thank you, Jesse, for that point. I think it's really important that all of us understand this issue, like you said, not just in the vacuum of that one particular bike lane, but how this is going to impact our region as a whole, Northeast LA. You know, there are a lot of ways that people get around nowadays, and cars are obviously a convenient option, but they're not the only option. I believe that complete streets are overall a much better alternative for the way that people get around, and that includes safety for everyone who uses the streets, not just cars, but people who walk, people who bike, and providing opportunities for people to get around in any option that they choose that's available to them. I attended the first outreach meeting that Councilmember Cedillo had in Highland Park, or sorry, in Cypress Park, for these bike lanes. I agree there was a lot of opposition, but there was also a lot of support. I recognize that this is going to be an infrastructure improvement that's going to affect a street that's not in Glassell Park, but I also recognize the regional impact that a complete bicycle network would have for Glassell Park, and for that reason, I personally support it. I think that it's going to enhance the way that we get around here overall. Once that lane connected to Glassell Park eventually and into downtown, I think it's going to create a much more complete bike network for us all to use. And I also think, from my understanding, that this bike lane is also not a new proposal. It's a proposal that LADOT had already approved and is now just at the phase of implementation. And it's now being brought back up for further public participation, which I think is great, but also we shouldn't forget that this is a proposal that, you know, the folks at LADOT who are experts in these matters agree with, and they think that should be implemented. So that's my opinion. That's what I'd like to contribute.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion from the board?
Andre, you know, is Figueroa and this area where the bike lanes are being suggested, is that part of the mayor's great streets?
I don't believe it's part of one of the great streets that he has proposed so far. No, it's not.
It is.
It is. I'm being told that it is, but I'm not sure.
North Figueroa, yeah.
The whole length of Figueroa or just?
No, just the area of Highland Park north of Avenue 50.
Got it.
Thank you for that clarification. Is there any further discussion? I personally would like to add as well that I also support the bike lanes and the reconfiguration of Figueroa as well as other streets in Mila. I think that it's very difficult to understand what it is like to ride a bicycle on the streets of Los Angeles until you do so. It wasn't until I purchased a bike to start training for the 2013 A's Life Cycle ride that I understood how difficult it is and how unsafe it is to ride a bicycle on the streets of Los Angeles. And when it's a public safety issue, I believe it's a community issue, and therefore I also support bike lanes on Figueroa and bike lanes on India. Thank you. Okay.
When we draft these letters of support, who writes them? I see them on the agenda all the time.
I'll probably take over writing some of them, but it depends on the item. Sometimes a letter is provided to us that we can review and agree to support.
Can I just say, the article indicated that Cedillo's office had put forward 3 options for this proposal, and that whatever, if you do decide or don't to support this, you might want to first check with his office to see which of the 3 they support.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so the motion, resolution to consider submitting a letter of support for a bike lane on Figueroa Street in Highland Park, Cypress Park. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion to support.
Submit a letter of support.
Correct.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. We'll take that to a vote. All those that are in support of writing a letter of support for bike lanes?
Oh, will we include Fletcher on that?
No, this is specifically for Figueroa Street and Highland Park, Cypress Park. Okay, we've got 9. And I believe with 9 votes, the motion carries.
We just have to take the vote.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Nays-
sorry.
Nays and
Yes.
abstains.
Thank you, yes. Okay, so all those who are against writing a letter of support, please raise your hands. No votes against, and those who'd like to abstain? We have 3, Ruby, Michael, and Mark. Okay. Okay, so with that, we'll be writing a letter of support for the bike lanes on Figueroa and Highland Park, Cypress Park.
I have a question.
Yes?
Once the letter's drafted, does it come back to the board for review and final approval before it's submitted, or is it just drafted and signed?
That's a very good question. Ruby, can you clarify that for us, please?
Normally, we make a draft of it and we let the board look at it first.
Okay, so it'll be coming back in front of us then. Okay.
So that opens up further discussion then. So like, if we get the letter back and we don't like the way it's written, or someone changes their mind, how does that affect this vote today?
Then we're gonna have to vote on the letter again, because we don't have an attached letter voting on the wording.
Okay.
So, John, do you have a letter of support that you can provide to us? A wording that you've used for other neighborhood councils?
I could ask the LACDC for
Okay, if you could please provide that to us, and then we'll bring it back to
Sure, I'll email
a
it.
future vote. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, where are we? B, so motion resolution to consider letter of support for Community Cleanup Day.